Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Rock Talk Lapidary. This podcast is being filmed live tonight for YouTube, and then it will be re-released on the end of our episode, and then after that, it will be uploaded to our main page at the very end of our season, which is coming up in a quick, short 3 weeks. My name is Kirsten Safford, and I'm your host today. And we also have David Leaton, Brad, and Ryan joining us, and they'll all introduce themselves in just a few minutes. But I do want to remind everyone to give us a quick like and hit that subscribe button if you want to see future episodes of this. And to our listeners on Spotify, don't forget to sign up for the next drawing that will be held at the end of January. All right, so with that out of the way, I'm going to be bringing on our guest hosts. I'm going to start with David Leaton. David Leaton.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Hey, Kirsten.
Welcome. How are you doing tonight?
You know, I'm doing pretty good, considering it's still one day before the end of the week.
Whoa, one more day. You can do it. One more day.
Right. Yeah, maybe I get to cut a cab sometime Saturday.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. So I forgot to mention that we are doing a live giveaway during the episode. To anybody that makes a comment, your name gets entered onto a list. And when Ryan comes on, we'll be sharing that the giveaway prize with you then. So Dave, what's new with the your charity? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, one of the great things, we make pop sockets out of exotic stone, whether it be dino bone sometimes, agate, jasper, just about anything that is hard enough not to scratch up or break. And we make those and we sell them to buy rock tumblers for kids who have autism. And so a couple, 3 days ago, I posted about 30 or 35 of them. I was really happy. In about 5 minutes time, we sold 6 of them. So we're most of our way on to another tumbler. We've now given away 25 of them.
Oh, congratulations. That is just awesome news. And it excites me to no end.
I love it.
And it looks like we are going to be having our friend Matt Sams joining us tonight as well. I'm super excited to bring him on. So next up, we have Ryan Brown of Glacier Brothers. Ryan, welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Ryan.
How's it going?
It's going good. What's new with Glacier Brothers this week?
Not much. Just been doing live shows all week. Been getting tons of new stone in.
How do we find your live shows?
So it's on Facebook. You just go look up Glacier Bros. We do live shows 5 days a week. Oh my lord. My phone is screaming at me. So, alright.
Hey.
Tonight for the giveaway, we have a really nice piece of Indonesian petrified wood. Nice.
Nice.
Very cool.
On one
Awesome.
Side,
Very cool.
Other. And then a really nice big slab. It's Wonderstone. Really nice big slab of Wonderstone.
Ooh.
Oh, that is great.
So,
cool.
that will be the giveaway.
That will be awesome. All right. So we're going to go ahead and welcome in Brad. Brad is one of our co-hosts as well here. Brad, what's new with your business?
Oh, we're trying to bring our first rock show out here to the Uinta Basin. They haven't had one for 30 years, so we're planning on putting that together.
Wow.
We got a lot of people out here in it's Vernal, Duchesne, Roosevelt area. A lot of people excited about having one coming out, so we've been planning that, and I'm just trying to make the business grow and keep moving forward one day at a time.
Oh, that is exciting news. I'm super stoked for you. You let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Beautiful country.
We like it out here.
Yeah. I lived there about 100 years ago.
You look good for that, old Dave.
And then up next we have Matt Sams. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Glad to see you tonight. So tell us about your latest cool concrete project.
I'm working on a huge outdoor kitchen right now. It's about 2,000 square foot of floor space. And it's a big kitchen, but colonial Virginia style. So I make for the folks that don't know, I make a lot of faux rock creations. I build outdoor amenities out of concrete, and it's all hand carved. Or I build molds and forms and pour it. There's a couple different variations, but yeah, it's pretty much what I do. So currently doing a soapstone countertop and Virginia brick.
Nice. So is the soapstone really thick? Is that something you can send me the broken chunks?
I can.
You can cut that with a knife, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Super soft. Yep.
I was going to say, I wouldn't have thought that would be hard enough for a countertop.
There's a couple variations for it, but yeah, it's pretty common in that area.
Sure, it's gorgeous.
Well, now that we have all of our awesome co-hosts on, I'm going to bring on Alan Meltzer. Sorry, I think I said your last name wrong.
That's okay.
Yeah, so Alan is a super collector, and he is going to share with us tonight a little bit of his collection, and I'm going to share a few photos. He's going to show us some stuff and just kind of talk to us. And Dave, I'll let you go ahead and take over from here, okay? Thanks.
Oh, she's going to put this on me. So I just happen to be the person. Alan has a group which he shows a lot of his Gembone and a lot of petrified wood, and I joined that, I guess the better part of 2 years ago. So I've been watching what he's doing a lot. And another friend of ours, a mutual friend, was in chat the other day, and I said something about coming on the show, and he said, "Hey, Alan, you should do this." And I grabbed right a hold of it because Alan's like I am. I am actually a teacher, Alan. I don't know if I ever got to tell you that. I'm actually a special education teacher. And so like you, I kind of have a passion about educating. And you do a very good job of that in the group. And I love that because that's what's important to you, is not just showing something for somebody to look at, but helping them to understand what it is, where it came from, how it was formed, and why it's important.
That's what helps form a deeper appreciation for the material. Right. Absolutely. The more you understand about it, the better you love it and the better you know it.
So what I'm going to do is I am going to let you, Alan, kind of take this the direction that you want to go. And I'm going to ask the guests if you have a question. We can ask the question, and hopefully we can get that to Alan, and he can try and answer those questions for you. And if there's something you don't know, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Right off the top of the teacher handbook, ask whatever it is that you want.
Okie dokie. Well, how do we start? Do you just want me to start talking, or does someone have any questions for me?
I think first off, it's always better to tell people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Alan, and just a regular guy. I work in construction. I started collecting rocks in March of 2004. I was out at Bryce Canyon at Ruby's Best Western. I'd been there before, and I fell in love with petrified wood. Arizona wood, super colorful stuff. You guys all must know it. And I was there with some friends, and there was, I picked up 5 pieces that were $25, $35 a piece. Wonder, should I buy this one, that one? Should I be a big spender and buy them all? Because back then that was a lot of money. And a fella walks up to me, an older fella. He says, "Hey, I don't work here, but I collect and polish the wood for the store." So being, a good New Yorker, I said to him, "Yeah, can I visit your shop and buy from you?" So we ended up at Sam Pollock's place that night. Sam's no longer with us, but he was actually a legend in those parts, and got to know him pretty well. And so I started collecting petrified wood. And petrified wood, because I'm very fond of the concentric rings, led to agates, banded agates. And banded agates led to Gembone. So I've collected a few other things, but those are the main areas, and I'm pretty fair at it. Put a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of resources in it. So that's what I do.
And I want to make sure that Matt and Brad, they're a little newer to being a host on our show. So guys, we're talking about this. If you have a question, you have a comment, make sure and join in. So we make this, about everyone. And so, Alan, what is it that you would want people to know first off about collecting Gembone?
Well, first of all, it can get pretty expensive if you're not careful.
And howdy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you don't even have to be careful. It's just play gets expensive fast.
Right.
Yeah, that depends on how you collect also. I got some friends in Europe. I've known through the agate guys, agate stuff. And when I told them the first time, I don't collect at shows, they looked at me like I had 3 heads. What do you mean you don't collect? How else do you collect? Well, there's other ways to collect besides, retail venues. The first thing I would say about collecting Gembone is learn about it. Because the stuff that a lot of folks are selling today as A-grade bone is stuff 30 years ago that the miners would have left in the field. You just got to be careful. There's a lot of beautiful stuff out there, but you want to learn about gemminess. You want to learn about it's more than just color. Those are the kinds of things you learn. And there's really no place to learn except, as Dave was saying, a place like the Boneyard, the group that I co-administer on Facebook. We help people. We try and educate them on what's good, what's not. Some things are just preference, but there's certain qualities, certain things you look for. And we try and make people better consumers. We actually have sales on weekends. We have a lot of selling going on. And it's a great place to get started because our sellers know it's all about value there, right? It's a no-fee sales venue, so we expect sellers to offer good value. And then the members who are trying to learn, they'll ask us questions about it, and we educate them. Learn about it before you jump into it.
The Boneyard is a great group. I love seeing what's posted on there and learning from everybody.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Gonna say,
Well,
we got
Alan,
a pretty good mutual friend there, Alan. I'm pretty good friends with Tyree. I spend a lot of time in his shop drooling over all of the parts and pieces he has down there. So,
well, I'm actually pretty good friends with Tyree myself, and some of the pieces in his personal collection came from me, but some of the pieces in my collection came from him. And it's funny you mentioned him because I believe he's an upcoming guest, and my whole goal tonight is to give him a hard act to follow. He better
put him on his A game, Alan. He deserves it.
So yeah, Tyree's terrific. He's a great resource for the whole community.
Yeah,
Tyree's a tremendous resource in a lot of ways. I'm just a collector, and I can tell you about the material. I can tell you some of the science about it, but his scope is far beyond anything I'll do, science-wise and field collecting. He's been doing it.
Well, that brings up a really good question, Alan, because some people want to be collectors, some are so collectors. Other people want to buy stuff that they're going to cab and do something with. And I find a lot of the stuff that's on the market, at least what I got into, needs to be stabilized. How do you feel about the stuff that is being stabilized? Is it a worthy project, or does it just leave cheap bone?
It's a great question. I'll tell you, first of all, to start off with, the old school guys, the 80-year-olds who are still making jewelry, guys I buy from, they won't stabilize anything. If it ain't good enough to cut, it ain't good enough, period. But I think that's short-sighted. Truthfully, the new stabilization techniques are really, really good. As a specimen collector, you damn right I have my guys stabilize and fill plaques. Because there's no reason not to. Because look, dinosaur bone. We're talking first. Let's start. We're talking about Jurassic dinosaur bone, okay, off the Colorado Plateau, and Jurassic dinosaur bones 160 to 200 million years old. There's been a lot of uplift, a lot of weathering, a lot of stresses, and geologic forces affecting it. You don't get too many really good pieces without fractures in it, and then of course you don't get a ton that is solid, highly silicified all the way through. You have that soft webbing that'll undercut when you go to cab it. So stabilizing, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, at the moment, I'd say it's the trend that all the better younger lapidary artists are doing. They're using vacuum and the stabilizing agents, and I'm all for it. I think it works great. It's nice to know that I have a lot of material that wouldn't be stabilized, but that's just unobtainium. You can't come by that anymore. It's so hard to get it.
Well, and your buddy there, Tyree, about 3 years ago, before Gembone really got more expensive than it already was, it really started taking a price hike about that time. He had some stuff for sale, and I bought 10 pounds of it from him. And the rest of it's going to have to be stabilized, and it's not bad looking bone. It wasn't really great, but not knowing what I was doing at the time the same way, because I'm new at all of this, and and I don't know if our audience, maybe a lot of them don't know what it means to stabilize a stone. Does anybody want to take the time to explain it?
I mean, if nobody does, I'll jump in right here. For dinosaur Gembone, it's very simple. First of all, you cut your slabs, you get the oil out. Different ways to do that. You can boil it, bake it, just kitty litter for however long, just to get all the moisture out of it. And then you use a stabilizing agent. One of the more popular ones now is HX-Stol. It's a museum-grade epoxy resin, 2-part epoxy. Some people are using cactus juice for super porous bone, like, they'll stabilize a whole chunk so they can slab it like they do turquoise, and they do it under vacuum, and it just permeates the material and gets it rock hard, so it undercuts less, it gets a little richer color, and it just shines better. Pretty much all there is to it. I don't think it's much more than that to it.
Well, and for those who want to know why is it that we stabilize the bone, is because you're talking about something that's 165 to 200 million years old. So imagine putting a piece of cloth outside in the snow, the rain, the sun, all of that for 20 years, and it begins to deteriorate and it becomes soft and it's unusable.
Well, actually, there's also another aspect to that. Okay, so let's talk about what bone is for a moment.
Okay,
I'm going to pull up a piece, okay? See if we can show this, okay?
Yeah.
All right, you see that piece of bone right there?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, holy grail bone, I get it. But you see the black webbing, right? You see all that black webbing? Yeah. So if you cut open a bone, the inside of it is sort of like a sponge or a honeycomb, right? And when a dinosaur died, long story short, dinosaur dies, and all the things that filled the honeycomb, the blood, the water, and the marrow, dries out, and you have this empty honeycomb, right? And now agate comes into play. The story of Gembone is a story of agate. Superheated water with silica solution in it permeates the ground, surrounds and saturates the Gembone, lays down this beautiful agate inside the Gembone, which gives us those beautiful colored cells, right? Well, it does. It lays down this agate to give us those beautiful colored cells, but there's still a bony structure in there. That's the webbing you see. The webbing doesn't fully solidify like the agate cells do. And it never really fully solidifies, or very rarely. There are circumstances, but not very often you see that. And that's really what you're stabilizing, unless you're just filling fractures. You're stabilizing the soft material because bone is notorious to be have different hardnesses in it. It's not just all one hardness, and it's that soft webbing that you're really trying to stabilize most to minimize the undercutting. In fact, when you find a piece of rough bone and you find all the agate bubbles on the skin, it's because it rolled around in a river and all that webbing wore away, but the agate stayed behind. That's kind of probably the better reason why we stabilize bone.
All righty. In my mind, what I had been taught was because even though it has silicified, it's no longer bone, of course.
Right.
This is mineral replacement.
Right.
Literally is a rock now, but It has all that beautiful webbing because of the silica or the calcites or whatever it has. But even that, my understanding was, even that after a period of time begins to deteriorate. Is that so or not so?
I'm not sure that's the case. Look, I'm an agate collector. All right, agates don't deteriorate. I mean, if they're
That's my way of thinking.
the skin of them is pretty good. Now, when you get good bone, you cut it open, that agate is as good as the day it was formed, or whatever. It's the webbing that really gets you. Anything can break down over time, I suppose, but no, it's the fractures that you're filling and the webbing pretty much, because the agate is the agate. And not all bone is all agate cells either. They can be jasper, there can be calcite, all kinds of stuff you might want to, because calcite's also pretty soft.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things you might want to stiffen up in there. Without doing that, there ain't much bone worth cabbing anymore. I mean, because it's just not 1970 anymore, and it's going to be really hard to get that really good quality stuff because no one's letting go of it. Trust me, I know, because I'm one of those guys.
Well, and I see one of our viewers has asked a question, Taylor Cole. How can you tell when a piece that has been stabilized was inked to darken the web of the Gembone?
Okay, you can't, I guess, unless once it's been stabilized. I don't know that you can. Okay, so what he's talking about inking. This is a what we call a Moab technique for making bone pretty, right? There's some guys in Moab who have the webbing is soft. Everyone wants black webbing for high contrast against the beautiful, pretty agate, and you don't always get that. And there are some fellas who will actually ink the webbing with a pen, felt tip pen, Bic pen, or just with a barrel of ink, honest to goodness. And it's a technique that is frowned upon, I guess, unless you disclose it. But there's guys who do that. Ernie Shirley, no longer with us, had the world's most famous bone shop anywhere out in Hanksville. And a fellow who worked for him for 20 years, I know very well, was saying they couldn't figure out where these guys from Moab were coming up with all this beautiful black webbing bone until they spilled some acetone on it in the river of piece that I bought from a fellow in Moab. And he told me he inked one side of it. You look at all the webbing, it's just inked. I have a few pieces like that. That's what he's talking about, inking. Now, there's also some new techniques. Guys are stabilizing, and they're dyeing the stabilizer. If it's disclosed, I don't see a problem with it. Honestly, I mean, look, it's what's not enhanced? Turquoise? What gemstone's not enhanced? What crystal? What beryl? So as long as you know it. As a collector, I value the stuff that's all natural. And hasn't been altered. I'm lucky to have a bunch of it. Like that.
That's why I didn't answer about stabilizing, because we don't do it. We don't do it. I only sell natural stones. If they fall apart, I won't sell them.
Well, that's good. That's good. But that's what I know about stabilizing. It's a worthwhile endeavor, I think.
Well, and Ryan does mostly slabbing, and I don't know how Brad and Matt are about it, but as a cabber, I find that some of the stuff that is soft, that no matter what you do, it's always soft, and you can never cab it unless you do stabilize. And some of that may be shattuckite or some materials like that. Turquoise, as a matter of fact, for the most part, has to be stabilized to make it usable.
Most of
they
it.
do that on a commercial basis in these giant machines with cactus juice or whatever they use in there. And it's highly successful.
Right.
Absolutely it is.
So the main thing is to be honest. If you're going to cab something and you're going to sell it, or even if you're going to give it to someone, two reasons to let them know that that's stabilized. Number one, you're being honest about it. We had to treat this to make it usable. Number two, you don't want somebody to have to do something one day. Oh, I spilled this on it, and they got a little acetone, and they're trying to clean it up, and it just gets worse and worse. You find out, wait a minute, something's wrong here, because most of what we cab with is a type of a cyanoacrylic anyway, and acetone does dissolve that.
Well, yeah, but the good stabilizers, I mean, the old school was CA, hot stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now they're using 2-put epoxies, cactus juice. I don't think, give it enough time with some MEK, methyl ethyl ketone or something, you'll get it off, but it's a little bit better. These are museum grade that will never yellow, and it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, the EP330 is one of those. I even have a gallon of cactus juice in here myself. I'm getting ready to use
Are you using
my pot.
And you have vacuum. You have a vacuum chamber.
I have
also?
a vacuum pot, right?
Oh, there you go.
And actually, the thing I got that for was that old bone that I got from Tyree.
Well, it works, and it turns affordable bone into something really usable. I mean, why not?
Let's give an opportunity for our other guests. Matt and Brad, do you guys work with Gembone or stuff at all that has to be stabilized?
You know, most of the stuff I do is a lot of spheres. So usually I'm cutting big chunks. I don't have to stabilize it a lot. I mean, I do use some Star Bond once in a while to help fill in cracks so a piece doesn't fall apart. But that's all I use. So, and cabs, usually I've been pretty fortunate on all my cabs that I haven't had to stabilize anything. I pick through my material and find the stronger stuff. I haven't played with a lot of Gembone. The little bit of Gembone I have has all been really good, solid stuff that I haven't worried about stabilizing. I've been fortunate.
Nice.
I do have a vacuum pot. I also have a pressure chamber. I use mine for pouring lures. So I'm an offshore fisherman. That's
Where?
I make my own St. Augustine. So I make my own trolling lures. I make a lot of my own trolling lures with abalone shell. I make them a lot with quite a few different variations of shell. I really haven't gotten real far into cutting stone yet. I'm kind of been building a house for the last 2 years and in the middle of a big move and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of stepped back a little bit. Obviously, I was kind of trying to get this circus act underway and complete a house during COVID, which was a complete disaster, but we got it done. We're in the house now. So I plan on, my garage is not, my shop is not set up yet, but I'll start digging into that. I have not fooled with Gembone. I do have some Gembone. Kirsten, I don't know, probably, it's been probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, sent me a couple of pieces. So I do have some. I've also got some from a couple of other collectors, but I just haven't fooled with it yet.
Well, you know, Matt, let me just tell you first that if you ever want to get some more, I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. Can you believe that?
Really? Well,
Yes, I am. And in May 1st, I'm going for a 4-day trip on the American Patriot. Let's go fishing.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, Florida is an issue, but I'm a collector. And I can't tell you how hard it is to collect from here. It takes a bunch of effort and a bunch of dedication to do that. And I know that a lot of folks out there are lapidarists and have a lapidary interest, but you know, my primary interest is in keeping the good stuff away from you butchers.
I'm sorry, man.
For posterity, so future generations, because if it was up to you, wouldn't be none left in 10 years.
No, we saved plenty.
Well, so, you know, and in the boneyard, we actually have a huge lapidary contingent. Everybody wants to buy on the weekends, and everybody wants to show off their creations. But we've also created a ton of collectors. I mean, by showing the beautiful pictures you've seen and by explaining it all to people and giving them resources where to find the stuff, we have created collectors of petrified wood and Gembone like crazy. And that's kind of where I sit as a collector. I know a fair bit about lapidary, but believe it or not, I don't own a saw. I don't own a polisher. I don't do that stuff. I'll leave it to the experts like you guys. I know enough about it because of how many people I deal with, but you know, let everyone have their specialty. Mine is in, you know, finding great pieces. And I would hope that, you know, if we don't build the appreciation for the specimens, there won't be anything left because it'll just be. And let me tell you something else. You guys aren't going to get the good stuff. You know what? It's going to China. That's where it goes. You may not know that, but trailer loads every month of dinosaur bone from the Colorado Plateau. Now, all right, so let me backtrack a little bit. Talking about dinosaur jump. I'm sorry, what was that, Matt?
Let me jump in real quick before I lose the thought. Why is it going to China? What are they using?
Because they want to buy it and they're willing to pay. Boom.
What are they making with it? What are they using it for?
Jewelry. They are the lapidary artists of the world. China has a lapidary history that puts everyone else to shame. Even Ida Oberstein, where agate was discovered, and they have a great lapidary tradition, doesn't touch the Chinese. Not even close. So they love the material. I've even sold a couple pieces to Chinese guys, but I think they were collectors. At least I hope they were. So the dinosaur bone that we collect and that we appreciate, first of all, let's start with, let me just get a little story here, since, unless you have a lot of questions. Dinosaur bone is not rare. It's exceedingly common. On the Morrison Formation, which is Jurassic, which is from like New Mexico up to Canada, there's areas you can't hardly step on the ground without stepping on a piece of bone. Honest to God, I've been to dinosaur quarries, one Tyrese dinosaur quarry, there's bone everywhere. But this gembone that we collect, this highly silicified, beautiful stuff, the concentration of it is on the Colorado Plateau near the Four Corners area. And that's what I celebrate. And that's actually what you guys are celebrating. Yeah, there's some beautiful gembone up out of the Montana or the Dakotas has some, agate in it. But for the most part, it's the Colorado Plateau. There's some out of Patagonia, but it's illegal to export, so you'll never see it. And that's the stuff that I celebrate. That's the stuff you guys are generally using. Just a little bit of history of it. It's 160 to 200 million years old. It's Jurassic. And then if you want to get into the the science of it, it's mostly sauropods. You have sauropods and theropods. Sauropods or plant eaters, big lumbering beasts, and theropods are scary meat eaters. Of course, you have more sauropods and theropods, otherwise the math doesn't work. You got to have more food than prey than predators. And it's just remarkable, just absolutely remarkable how these fossils are captured, petrified wood and dinosaur bone, forever in stone in full Technicolor glory. I showed you that orange piece before. I mean, that's just the absolute perfect picture of dinosaur bone with the trabecula. That's the webbing is called trabecula, and the agate filled the hollow cells. I mean, it's remarkable. And if you get enough pieces, you'll see other pieces of anatomy in there. It's just fantastic. And sometimes those pieces of anatomy end up in jewelry. Can I show you another specimen you might like? Okay.
I want to see it.
So I'm going to show this to you, and I'm going to explain it to you.
Show me them all.
Okay. Can you see that okay?
Wow.
All right. Let me get a little closer. All right. This is a big old specimen, a sauropod. Okay. Now, bone is least dense in the center. So the center decayed before petrification, before fossilization. It decayed and left a void, rolled around in a river for a while, picked up a bunch of river rock and sand, which finally silicified. Then my friend came by, found it, cut it up like bologna, and that's what we get.
It's like a dino bone pudding stone. I love
yes,
it.
Yes, it is. Pudding stone in your bone. That's right. Yeah. And, it's stuff like that it tells the story of that piece. It tells the story of that bone. There's a lot of pieces like that. You see pieces of crushed bone where, you can see that it had been crushed before it silicified. That's kind of cool stuff. So yeah.
Show us more.
Well, see if I get this up there. Can you see that okay?
Oh, it's a vertebrae.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, yeah.
Right? With an airspace in it, and let's show the back of it, and side's got the little concave back there. Yeah, it's a nice little vertebra.
Amazing.
Most likely from a theropod. Oh, hey, how'd that get up there? I actually have that specimen right here in my cabinet. I put it in there about a week ago. It's probably a theropod, because theropods. All right, I'll put it up again. So you have that peacock pattern on there, typical of a theropod from Jurassic, period, like an allosaur. They were very common. Kind of neat stuff. And it's just interesting to look at it and know kind of what you're looking at. And let's see what else here. So this is a kind of a prized specimen. We can show it up there. See that?
Wow.
We call that a cat gut habit because that's kind of what it looks like, cat gut. Let me show you.
Almost looks like flame agate in there, doesn't it?
Wow.
It really does. It looks like flame agate in there.
Yes, it
That's
does.
great.
It does. So same thing happened here. Now, there's some argument. Is it a sauropod? Is it a theropod? Because theropods had hollow bones where you get these agate cores. But I think that this is, as Tyree would agree, and also, we talked about this piece. This is just a sauropod bone that rotted in the center and filled up with this remarkable agate habit. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Gorgeous.
That is pretty good. And let's see. And so, it's those kinds of specimens that drive me. They drive me as a collector. I mean, for those, there we go. I've got that.
Oh, put that back up. I want to see.
How about you see it right here?
Now that's an intarsia, correct?
This is a Larry Walker special. Yes, it's intarsia. And you'll notice it is perfectly smooth and flat, done on a curved surface.
Look at that green.
Larry was remarkable. I think he pioneered that technique. He can't do them anymore. Just not up to doing them. But that, and the funny thing is, I'm gonna put it up there, Brim, real quick. Okay, so the funny thing is, that's all natural colored bone. Right? Green, blue, white, yellow, canary, all that stuff, right? And I had someone one time look at it and say, "Oh, that's really nice. Do they dye the bone before or after they make the bracelet?" I recognize not everybody knows. The daggers coming out of my eyes probably, it just could have froze an ice cube,
I can tell you that now on the market, Julie Ship, green has been pretty hard to get your hands on lately.
Well, that's because you're not in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, me and you need to start having some conversations, sir.
Ryan, you just need to go to Alan's house. You get any color you want.
You know what? My sister's
any color you want. You can get it. It's a different story.
Getting it out of the house is the problem, right, Alan?
Yeah, well, I got my attack cat, my 10-pound puppy, and
Well, if I remember my my minerals correctly, green would be more from the chromium, which is
not
rare.
like chromium is very few deposits with chromium, even in petrified wood.
Right.
First of all, well, in Utah, of course, copper being the number one suspect. Yeah. Iron can also be green, right? Unfortunately, I've got some petrified wood specimens here. I didn't pick out any of the super colorful ones because when I was doing my testing, the color didn't come up, and now suddenly I figured out how to make it happen. I could shoot super crazy green ones, chromium or iron or copper.
Yeah.
But chromium. There's not many chromium deposits in the States here. I mean, this green chromium wood up by Winslow, Arizona, on the reservation out there.
That's awesome stuff.
Zimbabwe. Ngakwe, Zimbabwe. I've got a ton of green chromium stuff like that. I got a fortune invested in that crazy stuff.
You get green verdite from there all the time from Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's right. So I collected dinosaur bone, and I guess the first question I want to ask is: anyone else have any questions about dinosaur bone? Because the Boneyard started as a dinosaur bone sales group, and the fellow who created it, he left Facebook, and it became a zombie group. It was there, but nothing was happening, right?
Yeah.
And one day I found myself not belonging to any bone or petrified wood groups, but I had been made an administrator of the Boneyard years earlier, and I didn't remember that. But I did. I figured it out, and I just took over the group and created it, brought it back to life as what I wanted to see in groups and what all the other Facebook groups were missing. They were missing community. People post stuff, but it was kind of sterile. Nothing was ever moderated. Boneyard's a highly moderated group with purpose and focus. And so I kind of created what I wanted, got a couple of administrators to join me who were just brilliant. And, very quickly, though, I know the material, I know the market. I also know that dinosaur gembone is an extremely small niche. We can talk about it for days. We can talk about it in our rock community for days. But even in the rock community, let's be honest, most people don't know about it. That's why we're able to make so many people, turn so many people into collectors. But I also have a passion for petrified wood, which is in a way related. It's fossil wood, it's fossil, often from the same era. So we added petrified wood, and we can talk a little bit about that also, unless you guys want to talk some more about gembone.
Well, I had a couple of questions before we get off of the gembone.
Let's go.
And I'll show you a couple of samples here that I've got. This, I don't know if I can get this where they can see it. This is kind of a
Blue cell?
Oh, he's freezing.
There's no stabilization there.
Well, that's pretty good for not stabilized.
Yeah, it looked nice. Nice blue cells.
Also, nice shine on it.
Yeah, no, that one would. So, this one, let's see if I can get it up here.
Freezing again, Dave.
Well, but that looks like it's going to help. Stabilizing is going to help that.
Right. And then, of course, there's this stuff that I got from Tyree a long time ago.
Is that calcite or agate?
It is calcite.
Okay, so it's moonstone bone.
And so my question about it is this. It seems like there's some really gorgeous bone like what you showed us out there. It seems like more commonly, especially stuff that is affordable, seems to be more of these brown tones, this white or this kind of blue.
Well, actually, blue is actually pretty common. Okay, so it's not just the color. We talk about color because it's something easy. It's about the quality. It's about the quality. It's about the quality of the trabecula, the webbing. If it's super soft and super porous, or if it's not. Today in the Boneyard, if you guys anyone have to go there, I happen to make a welcome post for our new members for this week.
I saw that.
That's good bone, right? You saw that one cab there?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have the chunk that came from, big chunk. It's not really just about color. I've got some colorful, crazy candy. Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where you picked that off from. That's my specimen. Yeah, that's I think an 11.5 pounder. That's a purples and reds and yellows and oranges. That's not so terrible. Excuse me.
So, Alan, what are you looking at in that piece that was just up that makes it such good gembone versus not so good bone? What are you looking at in that piece?
Let's first of all keep that up. Let's do some science right now. Okay, let's get a little science going on. What we're looking at in the center in the colorful part is trabecular bone. That's the classic gem bone that you butchers like to cut up and make into pretty things. So it's got the webbing and it's got the agate cells in it, right? And a few voids it filled in with agate. Then the black part, right? That's cortical bone. It's sort of the same structure as trabecular bone, but much, much tighter. It's a much denser thing. It's, I guess the equivalent would be the outside of the bone has a super dense, thick, heavy, shell, sort of like structural steel tubing. It's biomechanical engineering so that strength and lightweight. It has just a strong outside of the bone.
Gotcha.
That's what we're looking at. What makes this one so beautiful is the colors and the quality of the agate inside the center there, right? As a specimen, even having the black around it looks good. But it's that center is crazy good everything. There was another large piece off of this specimen. So this specimen, where did I find this one? I think I found this in the basement of a billionaire in Oregon, right? No kidding. I flew out one night. Arrive in Oregon, 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, I arrive at my destination. I'm picking at 9. I fly home that night at 6, right? Did that twice in a month. That's how you get this stuff. There was a large piece of that same bone that sold a couple years ago. The guy slabbed it up. Man, he thought he was, and of course, it disappeared after, started getting crappy after a slab or two. But that's just, color quality. I mean, for me, for anybody who's a collector of specimen, that stuff is, you can't beat that, right?
See, we're both, we will get bulk from Tyree. Like, we'll order bulk from him, and when it comes in, if it's a full bone and I slab it and it's special on the inside, we don't sell it. We keep it.
Oh, well, no, you should sell it. Just call me.
Maybe in a couple years I'll think about it.
Well, first of all, you might want to show it to me, because even if I don't buy it, I can give you my opinion on what I think. A lot of people think that a lot of people are confused as to what great bone is, because, I've been doing this now for a few years, and it was only a couple years ago I really got a sense of what great bone is and what great bone could be. There we go. That's a sphere that Richard Weekly made.
That's a gorgeous sphere.
Man, I've got several spheres like that. That's the only one of his I have. I've got some others that Kenneth Kolb is a lapidary artist, specializes in gembone made, and he's got 160, 200 hours in them. How do you like that? Right?
Yeah.
Years.
I gotta say, when I see those pieces and just the amount of time it's gonna cut each little block and get it all glued together so it's seamless, and then turn it into a sphere. Jeez.
Actually, the time involved is in the planning. Once you plan it, it goes a lot quicker. At least for Richard, it did, because he just glued them together, quartered them. He knew what he was doing. Me, I'm not a woodworker. He was a woodworker, so he could read that stuff pretty quick. He just spent a lot of time thinking about what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, what he was going to use. And how the heck do you get that much great material, right?
Yeah.
Only a handful of guys who got that much great material. Fortunately, I know a few of them, and they know me. And it goes back and forth. It's also funny how the best pieces, we joke about it, it kind of trades in a circle, it just, everybody, because it never hits the open market. It doesn't hit the open market very often.
So it sounds like what you were saying, Alan, is really the color isn't about the quality. It's the quality of the bone itself. Color
there's some pretty, So the fella from Bone and Cycad Lapidary in Colorado, that was the first piece he ever polished probably 30 years ago. That piece can you put that back up or no? Very typical of that piece. All right. It's smoky quartz crystals, terminated smoky quartz crystals, and neon orange with some yellow cells. It's actually a much smaller specimen than it originally was. Only the center silicified like that. All the outside was crumbly, crappy calcite bone, just broke off, fell away. Pretty typical. But the center held all the agate. And the funny story about how I got this. This was in Quartzsite one year, and I was going to my supplier who had this piece, but I couldn't make it there because there was another dealer, Buff Billings, a very dear man who's no longer with us, and I love the guy. And that was his last year in Quartzsite. He had cancer, and he was there alone with a very big booth. And I went to the show, and I was like, I can't leave him alone. I couldn't go to the show. I had to stay with him, spend it with the booth with him. And this is a piece I missed because of that. But I found out who it was sold to. So it cost me a little more, but I pried it out of that guy's hands. He was another dealer. So there's a lot of history in these pieces for me, reasons I'll probably, never sell, or at least not, till it's really time for me. They're meaningful. It's a beautiful piece, special piece, first piece that my friend ever polished. The connection to my friend Buff Billings and Tom Robertson, who's the guy I bought it from. Some of you might know Tom Robertson. He did a lot of shows forever. These pieces have meaning, which kind of leads to something else. We all hunt the good stuff, but in the end, it's really not about the rocks, right? It's about the people. There are reclusive collectors for whom it's only about the specimens, but it's all these connections you make, all these people you meet that make it worthwhile, because who the hell are you going to share it with otherwise, right? Yeah. I mean, I do have collectors who don't care if they don't share it with anyone. They've got agates, and they've got this. Oh, my cat gut. That particular one also came out of that billionaire's basement, and there's more pieces. Hey, where are you finding these pictures? They're great.
That's my favorite color bone. Red with white cell walls. It's my favorite. I love it.
That's a 96-ounce piece, I think. That's a pretty big one.
Pretty big.
She's been stalking your post on the Boneyard, stealing all your pictures.
Yeah. So that one also. Oh, yeah. Spider web. So that habitat we call spider web. Now it's got the red agate in it, which makes it very special as a collector piece. But that's what you call your typical brown, not so special bone, but super high quality, super good agate with the trabecula showing through. So it looks like a spider web when you hold it up to the sun or any light. And that is extremely prized as lapidary material because in a pendant, a necklace, that stuff is killer looking.
It is. You can put a different color of material behind it and quartz cap it and make something complete.
You can, but if you put just silver behind it, it pops.
It does, definitely. I agree.
It pops like crazy. It does. But all these pieces, for me, they, a lot of them, they mean something because they come,
oh, my Lord, that's beautiful.
That's all right.
I like it. The stretch cells. I love big stretch cells like that.
Well, it depends on how you cut it, I've got some big ones like that also. That's probably an Allosaurus vertebra. Yeah, that's a nice little pair. I love seeing these pictures. I've got them all. I've got the specimens, but I love you guys seeing them. Give you something. You can go on forever. There's just, and to Dave's point, you know what? 90% of it is ugly and brown and not very good. I mean, flat out, right? Same thing with petrified wood for that matter. So as a collector, you're on the hunt for something that's not like that. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of networking, a lot of getting to know people. Again, in today's post, I actually talked about that. So that is palm from Indonesia. The back doesn't look like good, right? So here's how we go with the networking. You're going to love this story. Spike and Gary Andrus had that, and they were going to quartzite with it one year. And I was going to quartzite. Now, it's fossil. It's fossil wood. And I'm an agate guy, too. So my friend Dave Polson, an agate guy, didn't give a damn about fossils. He knew they had it. He knew it was going to quartzite, and I go to quartzite early. So I knew exactly who to go and see, right? And that's how I end up with that piece. In fact, he had two of them, and my friend Sue was there, and she wanted a piece, but she couldn't make her decision because it's a lot of money. And, I was like, I was going to take them both, but I could just see her walking back and forth and pacing. She wanted like so much money, but I knew she was going to. So, I just backed off. She got that piece also. So that was actually kind of nice. But all these connections, Sue's got the other piece. I got it from Spike and Angie because of my friend Dave, who has nothing to do with fossil wood, gave me the heads up that these guys from California who he knew were going to be in quartzite.
I want to hear about your agates. You kept talking about agates. Tell us something about your agates.
Well, I was collecting agates before I was collecting dinosaur bone. I'm an accidental dinosaur bone collector. I can't really get it that quickly. So I'm an agate collector. And one day my friend Paul Clark, who is a lifelong dealer, he's Orchids 9 on eBay, those of you know him. So he's a good friend of mine. He shows me this agate. It looks like a dry head agate, just super fine banding around a hollow core. I'm going, what the hell is that, because that's dinosaur bone. Yeah, I've got that piece right here. You talk about starting at the top and being ruined. Now, at the time, it's not like nobody liked agate and bone, but I was lucky that I was in the right place at the right time as an agate collector. Crossover thing for fossils. I specialize in agate in bone now. That's what I'm most known for, I think. What we like to tell people is agate and dinosaur bone is extremely rare, except in West Palm Beach, Florida. There's a bunch of it here in my garage. And that is how I started.
Oh my lord!
Well, that came out of that basement also. So that piece there, you're gonna love this. The original price tag was on that, $75.
What the hell?
Wow.
You can add a zero and then another digit, and you know that I didn't pay $75, right?
I was thinking 4 digits for that slab.
Right.
On there.
Right. But the original price tag was on it when I pulled it out of that basement.
That's terrible.
10-inch piece. Is that crazy? Right?
$75.
Right. So, because back then nobody thought much of it. It's just like Baker Mine Thunder eggs. They didn't think anything about the hollow stalactite ones. They used to throw them away. So that's an Allosaurus bone. That's an Allosaurus bone. Allosaurus was a theropod. Theropods had hollow bones, and this one filled in with macro quartz and terminated quartz crystals on the inside. You can see right there. It's cortical bone. Right, so keep this up. This is the magnificent, biomechanical evolution of theropods. It's got a hollow bone for light weight, but it developed cortical bone, which is denser. You don't see all that trabecula, you don't see all that webbing. Denser and stronger, like structural steel tubing. So, when the animal dies, you have this hollow center, a little moisture in there, quartz formed, right? And we get this came from my friend Lamont Ecker, who is no longer with us. And again, it's another piece. Besides being a magnificent piece, it's a connection to a good friend I made. That I love the piece. I loved him. And there we go.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's not super colorful, but who cares?
Yeah, who cares about the color?
In that one, yeah.
I know that's a big relation between birds and dinosaurs that they say a lot is hollow bones. That is very highly agatized.
Let's say they had common ancestors, but they weren't birds. Yeah, that's okay piece right there, right? So I got that piece, I don't know how many years ago, 7, 8. And in September of 21, I found the chunk, which you're not looking at right there. You're looking at just the slab. I have the chunk that came from. Dang. Looks just like that.
I love that little eye right there in the middle.
Yeah, that little. Well, actually, we call that a tube in agate world because it's got a little filament in the center, and the filament is actually the trabecula. So this is a sauropod bone that rotted really badly, and the voids it created allowed the agate to come in and form banded agate. But the trabecular actually are red, and of course, it's just magnificent piece. The bones rot from the center. This one did. Now, agate is an opportunistic little mineral, and it just agate, silicate in solution. You give it a hole, a void, and it'll fill it. And it filled the center of this dinosaur bone that rotted out.
So now I have a question for you, Alan. And before I ask it, I want to take just a moment to give a shout out to a couple of people I've seen in the chat. I want to yell at Scott Lambright, who posted that he's over here in Salem, Oregon. Howdy, neighbor, Scott. You're just a few miles from me. I'm over here in Dallas. We have Jaws Jr. here, who is kind of local to us. He does a lot of work with Obsidian, does some phenomenal work. Just kind of wanted to give you guys a shout out. Alan, one of the big things that we hear a lot is for both petrified wood and bone is fortifications.
That just means banded agate. That's all it means. It means banded agate. So someone did ask, I think, was it Ryan, you wanted to ask about agates? Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
and Petwood.
I didn't expect this to be about agates, but I thought it might come up because that's how I got into bone. So I can show you a nice Laguna agate I have ready to show.
Sure.
It only weighs 2 pounds, 12 ounces.
Okay, fair enough.
Doesn't look like much on the back, right? I mean, just, there's a window there, right? But pretty good front.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've probably cut right around 1,000 pounds of those. That's really nice.
Have you got any like that?
Yeah, we've cut something like that before. We cut an 8-pounder last month. That was
So are they all iris or are they newer deposits?
Where'd
you get them from?
Some of the older ones I got from John and Sherman Rowland. Some of
Okay,
my older ones that I got.
John and Sherm, they of course were partnering with Mine. Guys got the mine,
Yeah.
and they have some pretty good rough. They high grade everything for themselves. Why not? Those guys are big. They can afford to do it.
They're amazing.
Well, you missed
people,
last week.
man.
We had Roland. We had
Yeah.
had John on here.
I heard about it. He's a blast, man. You ever have dinner or a drink with him? Man, you're never gonna stop laughing. Him and his brother together, it was like Beavis and Butthead when they were kids. Always in trouble, always pissing people off, but funny as hell. Gotta love it. So that was the agate. Now, I would at some point. I mean, if you got more to talk about bone, I'll talk about it all night. But there is, we can also
hear about wood, and I want to hear about wood.
So I like fossil wood because that's the first thing I started collecting. Because rainbow wood grabbed me, right? I don't have it here. It's a shame I didn't send you a picture of it. But my fossil wood cabinet, my big curio, I mean, it looks like Walt Disney threw up. Just a panoply of colors, just nuts. You can't even believe the colors in there. It's everything. Purples, greens. I mean, really rich colors. Most of it's not. So I just brought some pieces just to show because I was stupid. I didn't make the good ones to show. I mean, just cool stuff like, this might be 50 million years old, but it's just a super cool knot.
That's awesome.
Right?
Raining and everything in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fossil way back when. I was always fascinated by it because the rainbow wood, I just couldn't believe you just natural rock. You just cut it, polish it, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually like fossil wood more than bone. A lot of people won't believe that. But at this point, it's hard for me to find fossil wood pieces that improve my collection. Bone, I'm still on that hunt. I buy fossil wood from time to time. I recently bought a couple beautiful slabs, some dramatic ones, but it's a little harder. But there's some other interesting pieces. You talk about agate and bone. Dig on that.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
It looks like dry head almost, the coloring in there.
Yeah, well, that is Argentina.
Okay, fair enough.
Rio Negro, I think. Patagonia. It's, beautiful agate and bone. And then, of course, people want the more traditional look. Hey, sycamore from Post Oregon.
Yeah, that's gorgeous to me. I like that more.
Well, a lot of people like this one because it's so bloody stinking perfect. Got this from my friend Cindy Garut, who came out of her mom's collection, Joan Shaw. So it's just all those connections that you make because look, the pieces are nice, but there's always another rock. But who they came from, how you got them, Whereas this one just came off of eBay from the gold standard of petrified wood selling,
Ooh, look at that beauty.
It is Saroni Brasilensis, I think. Or maybe it's in, this is Brasilensis from Paraíba, Brazil. Just a nice, it's a tree fern. It's a fern. It's not actually, wood technically. It's a tree fern. It's a fern. Anatomy is a little bit different than wood. Just like palm. You talk about palm wood. Palm isn't really wood. It's actually more closely related to grasses. It's a tree, but it's not really wood. And we just don't call it that. But look at that. Hickory from Deschutes, Oregon.
Wow.
Acquisition. That son of a gun is better traveled than me. So Gaylord Brooks found this log in Oregon, in Deschutes, and he started cutting it up, and that's what it started looking like. And he sent a chunk over to Hungary, where my friend over there was slabbing it up and selling it. And then I saw it, and I said, send it back to America, quick. That's a recent acquisition of hickory from Deschutes. I hate when that happens.
Say that's probably one of my favorites, petrified wood. I've never really been too picky. I like petrified wood. It doesn't matter what it looks like to me.
Get that last one back. Let me tell you what that last one. Okay, so this is from Whiskey Basin in Wyoming. And all right, this is a cast. Okay, it's a cast. That means there's no fossil wood left. So the log is in the ground and the log disappears. Either decayed or pyroclastic flow burned it up, but the cast, the shape is still on the ground. In this case, that cast, that shape filled up with stromatolite, which is a cyanobacteria. So what you're looking at is petrified cyanobacteria with an agate center. And I've got one that you probably don't have a picture of that is so crazy good of a agate fortification, just blows your mind. But that's a beautiful specimen that I bought in the boneyard. We have sales on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, except this weekend we won't. But recent eBay find, that's a 16.5-inch palm from Texas. That's a beauty. It's a big one. It's a pretty good one. But palm is a pretty common, pretty easy to find thing. Well, there you go. This one's great for all that translucence as you get close, and the blue and the yellow and the agate. That's just that's a prized piece. It has been forever. It's So we were talking about limb casts, and there we go. Yellow Cat Flats in Utah. Wow. This is another location famous for its limb casts, meaning the limb disappeared. In this case, probably a pyroclastic flow, hot lava, whatever, burned it up, left the shape in the ground. You can see the wood grain on the back, and it filled up with agate, superheated water filled with silica, and we get banded agate and waterline agate in the same
Color
piece.
is fantastic.
Yellow Cat is actually on my list of have to have.
It is. Well, I have quite a bit of Yellow Cat. I have quite a bit of good pieces. Crazy good pieces, and Tusher Canyon too. So this is from Parker, Colorado, and we call this habit shrinkwood. I don't know what kind of wood it is. It's probably a conifer, but we call it shrinkwood because desiccation dries out, cracks, and then the cracks fill with agate. Boom! Look at that. And that piece there is 13.5 inches, I think. So it's a pretty hefty piece. Got this from Gary Buss. Gary Buss is a well-known petrified wood seller. And once again, someone was talking to Gary, who is in the Pacific Northwest, and he doesn't sell online. And he told me about these pieces. So I called Gary. It's just this whole way that you go about collecting, this whole networking thing, because that sure didn't show up at his show in Denver. That's another Yellow Cat Flats piece. Beautiful piece. Yeah, that's a dandy right there. Okay, so that's a Vivian. I can't pronounce his last name. Begins with a Z. From not down under, from New Zealand. This is a tree fern. I don't know exactly what from Tasmania. I don't know exactly what species. It's hard to look close, but the skin's actually very interesting in this one too. That in the center part where that circle is, we call that a stele, S-T-E-L-E, and then all those little tube-looking things. There's like a C in there. It's not a full circle. That little white part, it's like a C. It's 3/4 of a circle, and that's a tree fern from New Zealand. Pretty nice, as a matter of fact. That's a rare habit of Hermanophyton from McElmo Canyon, Colorado. Hermanophyton. I'm not quite sure how it's categorized yet. Some people think it might be a fern, it might be wood. It's considered uncommon, but that color and that little size right there, that's really uncommon. It's obviously still in matrix also. And that is a pricey little slab. See, that right there is also a partial round of Hermanophyton, which anyone out there who's listening who collects petrified wood, look at the bottom. Look at the bark on the bottom. You'll tell that's the Hermanophyton. And it rotted out. This was a completely rotted specimen. It's a partial round. But because it rotted, it created a void. And the void creates opportunity for silica in solution. And, man, I got this. This sat on the shelf of Bob Fennell's garage. Excuse me. It was actually in his house first. He has a garage. He didn't have a garage back then. It sat on a shelf at his house for a long time. And after a couple of years, I got tired of looking at it. So I'm looking at it one day. Goes, you know what that is? Because nobody knew. Anybody else never knew. I go, yeah, it's Hermanophyton. So I had to go home with it. And then I sent it off to polish because the polish wasn't all that good, and just came out to a great specimen, agate and fossil wood. That's another Hermanophyton. You guys like them Hermanophytons. Yeah, that's actually a really gemmy piece. I want to show you another piece I got actually as a gift in the mail today. I think it was today. That's this is a limb cast, fossil wood. You can see the grain of the wood up there from Hanson Creek in the Henry Mountains, Utah. It was a gift. Came, just got that in a box of dinosaur bone slabs. That was kind of nice. Good friends, good people. So cycad from the Henry Mountains. Your petrified wood aficionados might remember the Branson cycad, famous piece. Slices go for $5,000.
Wow.
That piece right there, I don't think it's off the same cycad, but it's definitely from the same area. Those little diamonds are like leaf scars. They don't go deep into the specimen. They're kind of near the surface. That is what cycad is all about. That's the best of the best, Utah cycad.
That is some beautiful, beautiful material.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Not unfortunate, but I've seen one nice one. See, I was going to say that. Thanks for showing that piece. I was going to bring that up. So that is a species of Woodworthia. It's Triassic in age, so it's pretty damn old. From Gakwe, Zimbabwe. Now, Gakwe, Zimbabwe, all that green wood from Zimbabwe, all that chromium infused stuff. This has teal, reds, rust, yellow, grays. So this piece is part of what was known as the well log. It's known among petrified wood collectors as the well log. There's only been like one well log. It's all anyone ever tells me they found. They're digging a well and they came up with that log. And, when they first came and hit the market, they were pricey, a few $100, and now they're 4 digits. That piece that you showed right there. So I was visiting a collection out in Texas, and he had his stuff he sells, and he had his museum in his basement. And that was in his museum. But he had a half dozen chunks of it, Long story short, I talked him out of that one. I'm the first guy ever to talk anyone out of anything out of his basement. And it was thick enough that was actually a slab, and I still have this polished on both sides. I have the end cut. I have another slab too. That's for petrified wood collectors. That's like I won't say anything's a must-have, but that's definitely a highly sought-after log because it's so rare and so beautiful. It's crazy good stuff.
Now, guys, you're probably like me. We could do this all night, but we're just a little bit over our time, so we got to start wrapping up. And it really, I could just keep on going, but I just want to know if everybody's like I am. I have some dino, and I've got pocket rot wood. I've got all kinds of petrified wood. I've got jasper. I've got agate. I've got chert. I've got everything in the world. Just been doing this a few short years, and I do have a cabbing machine, Alan. But the really good stuff never touches it. I have drawers over here that stuff like my Luna agate that I bought with the purple in it goes in there. Nobody will ever see it again. Stuff like that. But if somebody asks me what my favorite is, I don't know. I mean, I like so much of everything. I'm one of those people, I really can't decide what my favorite is. How about you guys? And I'd like to hear from all of you. Alan first, what is your favorite material to work with? What is the one you really like the most?
Well, I don't want to get anybody upset because I say something they don't like, but my first rock love is still going to be fossil wood, petrified wood. I mean, it's what I started with. The varieties and habits, the distribution worldwide. You'll never stop collecting it. There's no end to the varieties and habits and colors and histories of it. It's just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it all tells a story. I started collecting jasper recently. I collected actually 2 really world-class pieces recently, but it's only jasper. Sorry, guys. Agates, petrified wood, and bone for me.
Well, and I tend to lean toward the Awahi pictured jasper, and that's probably because I used to live in Ontario. My dad, who is 80, he'd be 80 this month, as a matter of fact, he started doing this about 30 years ago, and a few years ago I picked up and kind of went. So I'm kind of partial to it because that's what he was at. So I really don't have a favorite other than I can say that. How about you, Ryan?
Sugilite.
Sugilite.
Yep.
Yeah, we've talked about Sugilite here on
Matt,
the show.
I saw that
Sugilite?
malachite. Oh, well, purple's my favorite color, and I don't know. I don't think there's anything quite as purple as that. I mean, everybody's got amethyst, right? You can get amethyst from everywhere.
Yeah, amethyst is not a real rock.
Sugilite, rictorite, those are my things. So.
Hey, I did collect a couple pieces of jasper recently. I wanted to show them to you because all the jasper people seem to like them. Me, I don't know. See if that shows up.
Ooh, buddy.
Imperial jasper.
Like Imperial. Yeah.
And my sister slab, a little bit different. Kind of neat stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so they just do that pretty well,
Seems like you posted that in the group a couple days ago, didn't you?
Not in the group, no. Petrified wood, bone only, in the group. I posted that on my timeline. You must have checked out my timeline.
That, or maybe you posted it to us when we were in the chat getting ready to do the show.
Yeah, that's
I think what it was. Yeah.
That's a possibility. It is. But it's been a pleasure, guys. I mean, this has been a lot of fun. I hope I wasn't boring, and hope you enjoyed.
We gotta find out from Brad and Matt and Kirsten, what are you guys' favorite things to work with?
I'm with Alan. I really am a petrified wood fan, and I don't have any of the awesome pieces Alan has by any means. But that'd be awesome. We might have to talk, Alan. Like I said, I love petrified wood. I've got tons of it laying around the house from Utah. I've collected anything from Escalante up here through Heber.
Beautiful.
I've got a lot of that Silver Creek wood sitting around the house. Some of that Silver Creek wood has got a lot of colors, just like the stuff that comes out of Arizona. So that's probably my favorite, petrified wood.
Good man.
How about you, Matt?
Well, I tell you, one of my favorites is it's not very workable. Is black fibrous tourmaline, but I am in love with Arizona Petwood. Absolutely love it. I stumbled across 2 pounds that are 2 pieces, real old bookends at an estate sale. They're probably about 4 inches thick a piece, and I don't know, somewhere around 18, 20 pounds, maybe 16 inches tall or so. Pretty wild pieces, but I just love Petwood. Love it.
It's what got me started was Arizona petrified wood, yeah.
But
I just got my first piece.
I mean, in Florida, we're not digging many rocks.
Lots of fossils.
Calcite clam.
Shells.
Lots of fossils. I've got some megalodon teeth that you look at and you think, damn, that thing will take your whole head off right now, right? I mean, hey, but you're not that fine.
Kirsten, I want to know, what's your favorite?
Oh, I love radioactive material. So, Gembone, Petwood, anything that could be radioactive is my favorite.
That's interesting because I actually keep a Geiger counter around to check my specimens.
Wow.
I'd love to know, Alan, what's the highest reading CP, what counts per minute, CPMs?
Yeah, CPMs. I don't think I've seen anything higher than 150, maybe 100, 200, but that's up against it. You move it a foot away and,
those are the safe ones you want to have.
The
ones where you put them away and you're not, radiating yourself.
They're hot. The yellow's not really that hot. I find the red ones are really the hottest. And of course, anything with smoky quartz you got to worry about, right? Like that one we showed you, that was the first one the guy polished, had that brilliant neon orange with smoky quartz in the center.
Yeah, that was gorgeous.
I haven't tested that one, but I would think because smoky quartz, that a good chance that one's a little on the hot side.
Yeah.
People ask that question about lapidary; they worry about it, but by the time you cut a cab, it's insignificant. I mean, ambient is 25, right? So
right.
It's not so much cutting the cab as it is daily wear against bare skin. You know what I mean? A lot of people will make jewelry.
Unless it's over 100 reading, it's fine.
Right. And then by the time you cut the cab, there's nothing because it's just not enough to read 100. It's just not enough.
Fair enough.
I mean, unless you're cutting straight uranium. And I hope you're not.
Ooh. So, Matt, what
That's
is
nice.
this you
I
got
want to
there?
see that metal
Okay,
pipe
Matt.
put away really quick, Matt. I was sad. I
Put
saw
that up.
it.
Put it up.
What is that?
It's fibrous black tourmaline.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow.
That is gorgeous.
Pretty well. I do have, I don't know, probably too many large pieces of that.
Never too many. Trust me. Never.
I agree. My wife, not so much.
I get that.
Thank you, William.
Gotta find what she likes too, huh?
Now she does. My wife's a little different. She likes them if they're shiny and bright, right? But
Yeah, you can never have too many rocks. We joke around here that I had to come up and buy 10 acres just so I had somewhere to store my rock collection.
That makes sense. So, as far as our giveaway goes, guys, anybody that was commenting or participating in the comments tonight, it was kind of a wild night for comments. Pretty funny stuff going on in there. So, thank you all.
Holy cow! I'm sorry. I didn't even see the comments till just now. I hope no one.
Oh,
hope my
that's
friends
okay.
told me real bad. They promised they were going to do that.
They made it fun and entertaining for all of us, and we just enjoyed it. So, I'm going to ask you, Alan, if you could pick a number between 1 and 14.
Okie dokie. How about lucky 7?
Okay, number 7 is KDarn89. Go ahead and, let me put this on the screen real quick. Go ahead and send your mailing address into my email, and we will make sure Ryan gets your gift sent out to you.
Yeah, I'll throw it in a bag for you. Don't worry.
So, we like to give everyone closing comments before the end of the show, and we start with co-host first, and our guest is last before me. So, don't everybody jump up to do theirs.
All right, guys. Well, it was a good show tonight. As always, if you're interested in lapidary, don't be afraid to ask us in the comments. We're always active in answering your questions. Like, share, and subscribe. I always ask people to do that, and get the bell on. So that way, whenever we do go live, you don't miss it. You'll get a notification. Other than that, I don't know. Just enjoy what you do. Love every moment like it's your last. That's it.
Now, before you push Ryan out, I just want everyone to know that we have recently dubbed him the Stone Philosopher.
Oh my God.
You wanted to find stone for me? Okay, never mind.
He just loves to have fun, and we really appreciate it.
I guess I'm a black box. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me at least?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thanks.
So if no one else is going to jump to it, then I'll go ahead and go. So listen, I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. I appreciate our guest, Alan. The information you gave was just phenomenal. I think it helped clear it up a lot for people. The history, I love the history of it and the things that you had to say. I want to thank our viewers and our guests. The comments that I saw were very positive. We appreciate every single one of you. I also want to invite you. We have a group called Rock Tumblers, 2 words, Rock Tumblers for Autism on Facebook. Please come and join us. We raise money. We give rock tumblers to kids who have autism, and it's just been a really fantastic program for us. And just love every one of you that come here. Just come and have a great time. Keep up with us, and hopefully help us to grow this in the future.
Oh, our group, Rock Talk Lapidary. Make sure you guys go join that on Facebook also. We just made a group for the podcast.
Oh.
Make sure you go join.
I'm sorry. I'm making faces behind the black screen. I think you're up, Matt.
yeah, great show. This is the first. I tried to catch one before. Good conversation. I often work late, so sometimes I can't swing it, but definitely worth making the effort tonight. I'll have to do that more often. appreciate your knowledge there, Alan.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, I'll just say, Alan, thanks for everything you told us tonight. It was very informative. I learned a lot, and I hope everybody else did. And that's about all I got tonight. Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, co-hosts. I'm going to take you guys off the screen real quick, and then I'm going to let Alan have just a minute here to talk to a black screen about his eventful evening.
This is just the first podcast I've been on. I've never actually listened to or seen a podcast before. I am a dinosaur. It's just not in my realm there. I want to thank the opportunity to spread the gospel of fossil wood and fossil gembone. Really enjoy that. And it's part of the mission of the Boneyard to make people aware of the materials, to foster bigger appreciation of it as collectors and as lapidary material. There's a lot to learn. We teach it there, and answer all the questions anybody has. A lot of experts in the group, a lot of really good people, including Tyree Lamp, who's going to be your guest next week, who has a heck of a show to follow now. So, good luck, Tyree.
Yeah, right?
But he has a much deeper, richer knowledge of stuff that I couldn't even begin to touch. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you do come to the group. Check us out. It's the Boneyard on Facebook. If you like fossil wood or want to learn about it, or dinosaur gembone, it's a great place. Also, we talked about buying bone and how hard it is, how expensive. This weekend we're taking off because we have a 4-day extravaganza starting Thanksgiving night of sales. If you want to looky-loo and see what's around and how to get stuff, or if you're interested in buying, it's a great place to do it. It's because really, where else are you going to do it if you can't get to a show? So come on by. The Boneyard on Facebook.
Awesome, Alan. Thank you so much for taking us up on the offer to come on to the show. And the show will be uploaded to Facebook directly after, so anybody can go and look for it in the Lives tab. And then it will be promoted at the end of the season. Again, we're going to release all of the videos to YouTube and Spotify at the same time. So I greatly appreciate having you on here. And I'm just going to end with you on the screen, Alan, because no one can see me. So let's see here. All right. Come back next week the same time, and we'll see you then. Keep on rocking.